The Rams got better, and this was a good week. It's a good view. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't have on us.
What it is, what it do. This is Rambling, your Rams podcast that brings you inside of the team and news from around the NFL. I'm your host and team reporter, Sarina Morales, coming at you from Los Angeles, California. The 2021 NFL Draft is in the books, and the Rams now have new rookies, including 9 draft picks and 10 undrafted free agents. And it's always popular to hand out draft grades for teams once it's all said and done. So I wanted to get some grades on your Los Angeles Rams from one of the best guys to do it. He's an NFL Network analyst and draft expert. He also loves things like golf, Led Zeppelin, and the Looney Tunes. He's Chad Reuter, vaccine and relaxing. Congratulations to you. You can also find him on Twitter at Chad_Reuter. We're going to California, dazed and confused, so we are looking for you to drop some knowledge on the stairway to heaven.
You know, I appreciate you having me on, and everything you say is all over the world. There's no privacy anymore. But you know what? If people know that I love Led Zeppelin and golf, I'm all good with that. I'm all good. You know, it was a long weekend with the draft. I was up at 4:00 in the morning on Sunday, even though I didn't have to be. So I went on the golf course and enjoyed myself. And now I'm loving being able to talk to you guys.
Any pars, any birdies going on?
I missed some putts for both birdies and pars. But, you know, honestly, I was just out there by myself at like 6:30 in the morning, just enjoying a beautiful morning. And that's really all I can expect from a round of golf.
Yeah, well, it was a beautiful morning, I'm sure, where you are in Wisconsin. And it was also a beautiful morning for Sean McVay and company, who were at the Malibu Draft House this season. Mm-hmm. The Rams didn't have a pick on day one of the draft, and yet, Chad, you gave them an A grade. Please explain yourself.
Well, even though they didn't pick, they still had a selection, right? And they happened to use that on one of the best defenders in all of the NFL, in Jaylen Ramsey. Now, typically, I don't love that sort of deal where you're giving up a couple first-round picks for a veteran, because a lot of times you end up trading 2 starters for 1. But I think Jaylen Ramsey's an exception to that rule. You know, I think if you ask the Rams, hey, would you like the guys that were picked in the late first round last year and the late first round this year? Or do you want Jaylen Ramsey? I think they would take Jaylen Ramsey all day long. So in the end, I thought that was a really good deal for them. It's taken their defense to another level. And if they make it to the Super Bowl this year, he's going to be a big reason for that.
Yeah, for sure. Jaylen Ramsey and company, they're doing well. That's why they were the NFL's #1 defense last season. Jaylen aside, we'll get to the additions on the defensive side of the ball in a minute, but wanted to start with the Louisville wideout Tutu Atwell. That was the Rams' first pick in the 2021 draft at number 57 overall. What's he bringing to the Rams? I hear he has a need for speed, and he is now part of Sean McVay's offense.
Well, look, the team has Deshaun Jackson, and they thought, well, let's get a youthful version of Deshaun Jackson as well. So that's the way they look at it. Picking a guy who's 150 pounds in the second round is a little worrisome. I mean, it's a risk. But you know what? I think it was 2 picks later, Terrace Marshall, another wide receiver, went, and he has injury risks as well. So that's the part of the draft where these guys have talent, but they also have some risks that teams are willing to take at that point in the draft. So Atwell, he's lightning in a bottle. You get him the ball on a short pass, he can take it a long way, and he can get deep behind the defense. He's explosive. So if he stays healthy, if he stays out of the way of some big hits from safeties downfield, he's going to be a great outlet for Matt Stafford to use that big arm.
Just give Matthew Stafford all of the weapons so far with that deep wideout group now, with the addition of Tutu Atwell. All right, back to Jaylen Ramsey and company. The Rams wrapped up day 2 of the draft by adding to their linebacker squad with Ernest Jones from South Carolina at number 103 overall. And there was a focus to add some depth there, but they also picked up a corner, Robert Rochelle, in the 4th round. He's 6'10", $193. With the addition of all of these guys and the inclusion of Jones, Rochelle, did the Rams do what they needed to do to fill some of these needs on the defensive side of the ball?
You know, it's interesting. I thought they would go a little sooner on the edge rusher front, but I love Chris Garrett in the 7th round, so that was a good pickup. They wanted depth for 2021, right? But through free agency, they'll have to change out some bodies over time here on that defense as well. So Ernest Jones is a great inside linebacker. I figured he'd go late third, early fourth. So they got him in the right spot. He's a tenacious defender. It's not surprising that a team that like Micah Kaiser and some of these other guys would go for Jones. So it made a lot of sense to me. He's a really fantastic defender. He'll be good on that defense for the next 4 years at least. And that was really a good pick. Rochelle, he's gained some weight over the process. He's gotten his body a little stronger, and that's perfect because he needed to do that. But even though he went to Central Arkansas, he went to the Senior Bowl. He wasn't afraid of anybody. He went there, and I think as a 4th-round pick, that was a really good deal that's going to provide depth in that secondary for, every team in the NFL needs that. You need 4 or 5 cornerbacks nowadays. If they're not all on the field at the same time, it won't take them long to substitute in there. So a couple of really great picks for them. And the guy, I was really happy to see them pick Ernest Brown in the 5th round. Northwestern guy, and he's got really good agility. He's 270 pounds, but he's got really good agility for that size. And they needed a body out there at defensive end. And I think that was a really solid pick for them. I wasn't sure how high he would get picked, but for what the Rams want in that position, I thought that was a great pick and a great story.
I love it. I also just love the idea of 2 very tall corners for the Rams defense in the secondary. Like, what? Yes. Are there safeties? Are they linebackers getting back there? All right. So we're feeling good about these picks, but now I want to kind of predict the future for me. I mean, kind of out of all the Rams draft picks they've made, another wide receiver, a running back, a tight end who used to play soccer. Which one has the most potential to maybe make an immediate impact on this team?
Well, as far as immediate impact, I could see Tutu getting in there by mid-season. Injuries hit, and I think if anybody in the receiver group, they're veterans, get injured for whatever reason, Stafford will start looking for Tutu deep, or it's getting the ball out quickly to him. So I think he can make an impact right away. I think Jones will play right away. So I think they're going to get some contributions from these guys, earlier than later.
I looked over your draft grades from every day of the NFL draft, which can be found on NFL.com with a quick snap analysis of each day for each team. But looking at the entirety of what we care about in the NFC West and how they drafted out, did the Rams keep pace with the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks in a division that is turned into pretty much the most competitive in the entire NFL?
It's a tough division. I think the Cardinals and 49ers did some good things. Seattle was a little bit constricted. They didn't have very many picks. They've used their picks, to pick up veterans over time. So it's kind of hard to say, who won or lost. If Jamal Adams turns out to be an MVP kind of guy for the Seahawks, then they're going to win, right? A defensive MVP kind of guy. But I think overall the Rams did enough to maintain that spot. And there's no reason to think that this team was already in a good place before the weekend started, right? So, giving up the 3rd rounder for Stafford made a lot of sense. And of course, future picks, they're in a prime position to not only win the NFC West, but also the NFC Championship. So they got the guys, they needed. They got the depth they needed. They weren't going to get a lot of superstars, obviously not picking as very early, but they did what they needed to do. And then, they're undrafted guys, as you mentioned. They've got some guys that could, Max Roberts from BC, he's going to be that edge rusher. That wouldn't surprise me if by the middle of the season or so, the Rams sent him out there on 3rd down and he's making plays for him. So I think they did enough through the whole process to take that next step and really compete for a Super Bowl.
Gotta love the undrafted free agents because always 1 or 2 sparks and ends up making an impact on the team. So we are excited for that. That makes me happy. It is now time for what makes me happy, though, because GM Les Snead and head coach Sean McVay seem to be in a good place after wrapping up the 2021 NFL draft. And sure, some of that is because of the great additions that we just talked about, but also perhaps because they drafted from the Rocket Mortgage Draft House in Malibu. So take a listen to Sean McVay on this year's Draft House.
I felt good. I miss my buddy Les. He was still hanging out in his garage. He looked healthy. He felt good. But like I said, the Rams got better, and this was a good week. It's a good view. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't have on us.
That's right. McVay versus Cliff Kingsbury continues to march on. I am all for it. Chad, did Sean McVay out-cool Cliff this draft, given he drafted from the Malibu Beach House?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. And it was a lot better view than I have. I'm just going to say that right now. Not that I really cared what kind of view I had, because all I was doing was looking at a laptop for like 6 hours a day, writing those grades. So it didn't really matter what kind of view I had. But I think that's a fantastic idea. Take advantage of that beauty there when you get a chance. And, for teams, the draft is sort of anticlimactic in a way, because they have a pretty good idea how things are going to lay. They have the guys they want. And you know what, just to get out and have that sort of surrounding for that and kind of take some of the pressure off, it's amazing. And hopefully I'll get an invite next year to join them wherever they're at. I would hop on a plane and do that in a second.
All right. News from around the NFL. This was fun. News drops. Day one of the draft. I'll take Packers for 800. What is Aaron Rodgers is unhappy in Green Bay? He wants out. Chad, were you ready to toss your mock draft out of the window when you saw the news hit?
No, not really, because teams have to draft for their team, not just surrounding a certain player. That's the reason they took Jordan Love in the first place, because Aaron Rodgers had missed a couple of seasons in the past with injuries, and you need a backup quarterback in today's NFL. So, and the Rams found that out too. So it's just one of those things you have to do. And I think they had their game plan going in. They knew about this Rodgers situation. This wasn't a surprise to them. So they knew their game plan going in. I was fine with my mock draft going in. And, we've been through this before in the state 15 years ago. We went through this already. So we know that it's going to play out how it's going to play out. You keep building your team the way that you feel is best and, let things come as they may.
Do we see Aaron Rodgers at least finish out the season? Is he going to Jeopardy? What happens to his life in the NFL?
You know what? I don't think the Packers want to trade him at all. And so I think there's a fair chance he doesn't play.
He's good.
No, right? And what possible trade could you get that would get value back for him? Equal value. That would be very difficult, especially now where it's out there that he doesn't want to be there. So teams know that they don't have to. So it's going to be very interesting to see if he comes to training camp. And if he doesn't, if there's an injury elsewhere in the league, does that make that trade value that much better? So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. But honestly, Packer fans that I know are sort of over it. And they're like, look, if he's here, he's here. If he's not, he's not. Let's root for our team. Let's get Jordan Love out there and we'll take it from there.
Ooh, it hasn't even started. We haven't even have the schedule out yet. All right. Yeah. It's now time for Sarina's socially distant social segment. That's right. My apologies ahead of time, but I wanted to warn you that my producer Adam and I stalked you on social media and we found out that you grew up on the old Looney Tunes.
What's up, Doc?
That's right. I figured if you could give us draft grades for NFL teams, you could also give out Looney Tune character grades as well. So wanted to start with letter grades for the following characters. We'll go classic, numero uno, Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny. I don't know how you give that dude anything less than an A+. He's the pinnacle. He's done everything from opera to, anti-hunting. He is, a true American. He has turned left at Albuquerque. Oh, wait. No, maybe he shouldn't have done that. No, I can't remember how that goes. But he's been all over the country. I learned so much growing up from those, right? From the opera stuff where it's like, Leopold, Leopold, Leopold. And he's singing. He's doing the Barber of Seville, obviously, just iconic stuff. And, he was great. And, Mel Blanc was awesome. I miss him just doing all these voices. He's fantastic.
Bugs Bunny, I agree. A+ for him. Daffy Duck, his right-hand man. Where does he get drafted?
Yeah. Daffy, had some issues, so little red flags on Daffy, but he's great. I love him. Anytime anybody says the word despicable, that's how the way it comes out for me, because I think of Daffy immediately, he was fun. You just watching Robin Hood, he's doing, haha, spin, he just does the whole buck and a quarter staff. I mean, you got to love everything about that guy. He can't be quite as high as Bugs, so I give him an A because he's not quite there. But, again, another part of my childhood that, I'll never forget.
Porky Pig.
He's sort of a second tier prospect for me, to be honest with you. He was funny. He was funny. Again, he's just not on the level of the other two, but he had his moments.
Let's just get a quick most overrated, underrated, and sleeper for Looney Tune characters.
Well, I think, again, Marvin the Martian, was completely underrated. He was fantastic. One of my favorite guys. Overrated. I might have to go with like Tweety Bird or something.
Really elevated for like, I mean, even in Space Jam, I was like, what? You putting a basketball uniform on Tweety Bird? Like what?
Yeah, no, I'm not into that cutesy stuff as much, but the sleeper could be Foghorn Leghorn.
Whoa.
Because I say boy, that kind of stuff. This is the stuff I remember like my whole life. I do all these voices and people are like, what are you talking about? But Foghorn Leghorn was fantastic. I just love watching him and, so I guess that would be my sleeper pick.
I know what you're doing later. You're just going to toss on like old school cartoons. I'm very excited about this, that we could influence maybe an extra golf game.
All the stuff they put on Twitter is fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of things not to like about Twitter, but Looney Tunes and their presence there just makes me smile like every day. Whatever they post just makes me smile because it reminds me of stuff from my childhood. You're right. I'll probably record myself doing a bunch of voices for no reason later.
All right. We're going on to Say What, since we've heard a lot of impressive sounds already from Chad. The second round overall pick at 103, Ernest Brown IV. He got a call from the Rams and he hangs up on Sean McVay. Take a listen.
Ernest. You there, Ernest? Ernest.
He hung up on me.
Hey, Ernest.
Hello? Yes, sir. I'm so sorry.
Hey, man, I can't believe you hung up on me.
No, I didn't hang up. It's a bad area. I'm so sorry.
So we don't need to take back the pick then, huh? I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. Congratulations. We're so fired up to have you.
Please tell me you've ever hung up by accident on a really important call that you needed to take.
Well, you know what? I've had that similar sort of situation, but I have one time somebody contacted me and I thought somebody was putting me on and had the phone number in the, at the bottom of the email. And I'm like, So I called it. I'm like, see what this is. And then the guy picks up and he's like, how'd you get this number? I'm like, it's in your signature thing. Cause it was just funny. So like I reached out cause I thought somebody was pranking me, but it ended up being great. And we talked for a long time and it ended up being great. Thankfully, I haven't done that. Exactly. But, this is the world we live in, right? I mean, like this kind of stuff.
No more landline. There's no more landlines.
Thankfully, I've only, I think once had like a potential spam call that actually was somebody and thankfully they left a message so that I could get back to them. But like, I'm not picking that up 9 times out of 10. So it's the world we live in. And I'm glad they made the connection eventually.
Amen to that. Maybe we'll bring back the landline. Who knows? Either way, that's it. Another episode of Ramblin' is in the books. Chad, I appreciate your time, your enthusiasm, your knowledge. Give him a follow at Chad_Reuter. You can also find his snap grades for all 32 NFL teams for every day of the draft on NFL.com. And Rams fans, now that we have a new squad, how about getting some new seats? Don't miss out on a chance to step into the Rams house in 2021. You can purchase season tickets. Visit therams.com/2021. Also, if you want to experience SoFi Stadium in style, there are single game suite options available for home games this upcoming season. Just go to theramsuites.com to get more information. More Ramblin' will be coming your way heading into training camp. Until then, please stay safe and healthy, my friends. Chad, it's been a pleasure.
That's all, folks.